You're listening to The Deal. I'm Danny Brown. Today's guest out of Jupiter, Florida, Holly Meyer Lucas. She is a baller. She's got a huge business, team of 30, deals with a lot of professional athletes. Her husband is also an ex-big leaguer, Ed Lucas, had a long 18 years in the professional ranks and now with the Giants organization. But she's going to talk us through how she's balancing crazy mom life, family life with her big business and her work ethic, which is just unparalleled. She really grinds. You can find Holly at holly.meyerlucas on Instagram. You can also find her at the Meyer Lucas team or her website. You can always find me at Danny Brown LA. School is in session. Please subscribe and leave us a comment at Apple Podcasts or YouTube or wherever you digest your content. That really helps us. And tune in, Holly Meyer Lucas. Holly, welcome to The Deal. Good to see you.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yes, coming live from Jupiter, Florida, just above Palm Beach. I've been trying to get you on for a while. I'm glad we were able to sync up the schedules and get to work here. So tell me what's going on in Jupiter. How's the market over there?
Yeah, no doubt. Florida is white hot right now. It still is. We had a major pop before the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, as one does. I feel like the rest of the country, that's the same for everywhere. But here uniquely, we're not following the national media trends that are being, across the country. Like we haven't really slowed down here, which has been amazing.
Wow. So you're still cooking there. Stuff is still flying and prices are staying high.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's a similar shortage of inventory like everyone's feeling.
Yeah, it is. We have a lot of the shortage of inventory, and I will say the buyer fatigue is really felt in that interest rate. And this is true pretty much everywhere, where the interest rates really apply to people. So everyday normal people. I'm in a market that uniquely is where high net worth people and celebrities, entertainers, athletes relocate. So it's not lost on me. I'm in a bubble for that for sure. But what's happening is people are moving in from California, for example, high net worth people, and they're moving for SALT tax reasons and for quality of life reasons. And people here are cashing out and they're moving to the Carolinas or Tennessee. And so there's this big super highway that's happening right now, which is fascinating.
My people are coming your way, and your people are going to the Carolinas. That's what's happening. So they're probably getting a lift there as well. So for people that don't know, you're just above Palm Beach, just north, of Miami, Boca, Palm Beach, then Jupiter. A lot of athletes and a lot of high net worth people move there. Give me a breakdown, an average house there. I know it's a huge range. So maybe start, what's the entry level price and what's the high end price and what's the bread and butter range for your area, just so people that aren't familiar with it will know.
Yeah, that's a great question. So in my area, you can't really buy a single family home for less than $500,000. And you can't spend more than, I think the highest price home is like 100 million right now. My average price point is between.
That's a big spread.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. And the craziest thing in real estate, honestly, is you can pick up the phone and have a $30 million buyer on the other end that's relocating from California that found you on Zillow. Like it is opportunity. It's a sea of opportunity here, which is on one hand really cool, and on the other hand, for us salty veterans, it's frustrating when like a newbie. I love it, like love to see it. But my average price point is between 1.5 and 2.5, and then we in the luxury space we play between like 15 million, and the highest home I've ever sold is like a 30 million.
Yeah, so it's not so different than the LA, Southern California, and the Miami prices. I've spent a lot of time there, Coconut Grove and different parts of Miami. So it seems like the high end there is very similar as it is everywhere. So what is that, if you get in the bread and butter price range, what's that $2 million house looking like in terms of size, bedrooms, how close you are to the water, if at all, that, just so people have an idea, context.
So to be on the water, you can't really be on the water without spending around 4 to 5 million. That $2 million home is, I always say it's the ones that you're seeing on Pinterest that have like the upgraded great kitchen, but 4,000 square feet, limited yard. Our markets are actually really similar. We don't have like big yards here per se. Like they're small lots. You're really paying for land if you get a bigger lot, or you're out somewhere very far removed.
Yeah.
Water really dictates the price point too, what type of water you're on. we have a lot of these man-made bullshit lakes here. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but
Yeah.
my God, oh my gosh, these like man-made, and because our water table's so high, so these things are like, and so people call that waterfront, but they're not. They're
Man-made. Man-made. That's like being in Palm Springs in the desert here. All right, so I'm going to rewind. Let's go back to the Holly story, get personal here. Tell me a little bit about where you grew up and how you grew up. I know you've moved around a lot, lived overseas, and I want to tie that back into how that relates to your business life today. But let's start with, where you grew up. I know it was a lot of different places, but walk us through that, and then we'll start with how you started in real estate. But first, the background of how you got there.
Yeah. So I have one of those stories that it just, when someone asks me where I'm from, it's like full anxiety because I feel like I'm lying, whatever my answer is there. I'm from Jupiter right now, but I grew up my parents are from the Pacific Northwest. My dad's German. I grew up in Germany, moved back to the States. My parents actually went to UCLA.
Wow.
Where in LA do you live? Like personally?
I live 5 minutes from UCLA, Cheviot Hills, Century City, Beverly Hills. So yeah.
What high school did you go to?
I went to University High, which was named after UCLA, the high school that fed to UCLA.
Yeah, my grandparents went there.
Oh, go Warriors, U-Town.
Yeah.
I probably went there with them. I'm about as old as your grandparents.
It's so funny hearing them talk about the like heyday of LA and like Manhattan Beach and Newport Beach and the whole evolution of Hollywood. And it's so crazy even thinking about how the last like 70 years, what has happened in LA. It's very similar to what's happening here in our area, where people are like the good old days of the 2-lane street and the way that you used to be able to pull up to Manhattan Beach. It's really similar to what we're seeing over here, like what my grandparents used to talk about.
So I bet. And I want to get into that as well. But that's a really important topic. So don't let me forget to bring that up, because I always talk about how LA had its explosive moment multiple times, but the 60s, 70s, 80s, and now South Florida seems to be having that unbelievable explosive moment. We'll get back to that. So your dad is German. So when you said you were raised in Germany, are we talking like what ages are we? Where'd you go to high school? Here, Germany, or both?
Yeah, so I went to I moved to Germany when I was 8, and then moved back when I was 15. I played soccer in college, and when I moved back to the States, my parents identified basically that like in order for us to double down on our athletic careers,
Well, you went to Tennessee or Vanderbilt? I know.
I started at I went to Baylor first, and then I ended up at University of Tennessee.
Nice. Volunteers.
Yeah, but I moved. I mean, the takeaway is I moved so many times when I was little. My dad was part of that generation of tech pioneers in the Silicon Valley, and he actually negotiated the deal that basically brought Napster to CD burning.
Oh my God.
Claim to fame. He works for me now. He's an agent for me now, and it's so funny. Like we always joke about how when a deal goes sideways, it's like that's nothing compared to the artists coming after the people that made Napster connected to CD burning. Like he can handle anything.
Wait, so he worked with, was it Sean? Was it Napster was the founder?
No, he was on the CD burning side. So he worked for Roxio, which is
Roxio. So my background before real estate, I was in the music business.
Oh, no way.
That era was the Napster era when everything was shifting. And that is the reason why I pulled out. I'm like, I'm going to go to a more stable business, because I saw the music business was changing dramatically, and the day of signing artists, developing artists, releasing records, selling records or CDs was gone, and no one knew what the business model was going to be. And I remember working with a few tech friends of trying to figure out how we could start up a little Roxio or a little CD burning thing, but never happened. But anyway, that's another backstory. So you grew up all over the place.
That is so interesting. I think that time, like, yeah, as a kid, so I was in middle school and high school when all of that went down, and it was so fascinating to me, just IP in general, and how creators and I think it's one of the reasons I think why I do well with working with these celebrities, because I get it, like I get what their like the magnitude is, seeing it firsthand, like literally seeing it firsthand. I went to this school called the Munich International School, which is like I was able to go there because my mom was a teacher, and I just seeing the difference between the haves and the have-nots early on, and like people that are in charge of decisions and in the United States, it's really prepared me for working in an environment like Palm Beach and Jupiter, where Fortune 500 CEOs, and it's a who's who of of people that live here.
So, all right, incredible background, which I want to I want to tail into, when you move around a lot and when you live overseas and learn a language and learn a culture, you're forced to adapt. You're forced to learn all these social skills. You're constantly put in uncomfortable situations that the average person usually shies away from and melts. But what I have noticed in my years is that people that have been raised like that often enter adult life equipped with a set of tools, a toolbox for socializing and being able to relate to every type of person and be able to handle pressure in a different way because they've been in that their whole life. They were raised in it. It becomes sort of their natural environment of being comfortable, being uncomfortable, or getting comfortable with those uncomfortable situations. So it seems like for sure you had that. Before we get into that, just tell me how the real estate career happened.
Yeah, you're dead on the money with all of that. It's so, so true. It's funny when you ask someone that's grown up all over the place that the way that they handle that answer is if they're a pro at it, it's trying to gauge your answer first. So it's like, give me where you're from first, and then I'll find the common ground with that because I'm from so many different places, And so to use that as a segue, real estate, I always say this, like real estate chose me. Like I had no other choice than to go into real estate. I graduated college with an international business and German degree, which basically meant nothing. My husband played professional baseball. I got
Yes,
pregnant.
a baseball player. Some of my best friends played. I have there Kevin Millar and Manny. And
Who is that?
Kevin Millar, who's now old, your husband will know, my best friend growing up from high school. And that was a picture of me and Manny at Yankee Stadium when he played for the Red Sox with Kevin. I played in college, but never played in the show like your husband. So what?
Where did you go to college?
Ended up at USC here in LA.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah, we have our USC alumni clinic this Saturday. We do it every year. I host it with a couple of my alumni buddies. Have a bunch of kids from the inner city and all over LA. It's free. We get the team, the coaches out there. It's an awesome day. So
that's
side note though, but mad respect. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Your husband was on the road as a professional athlete. So you both have this interesting story of being able to be in a lot of different areas and obviously
so if you ever encounter a baseball player, big leagues, minor leagues, whatever, literally they have lived everywhere. Like they are sent all over the United States and
the worst parts, they're not going to Munich and Paris and London and Tokyo. You go through the minor leagues, it's a torture test. You're in the worst.
The best parts, Burlington, Iowa.
Yeah, there you go. You're going to Dakota and the Atlantic Leagues.
Yeah.
You got into real estate not so long ago, less than 10 years ago. Was that your first business, your first career, or were you doing other things?
So I was selling medical software. I'm very, very techie. I got that from my dad. And so I was selling medical enterprise software. I actually, USC and LACO, so LA County, were one of my clients. So I did like pathology mergers and that campus is unbelievable. Not that the campuses, but the medical, people don't appreciate that about LA County, that LACO health system is like next level with the investments that they make. I digress. Did I lose audio? Are you still there? Are you there?
So you were in medical sales, so hardcore background in sales.
Yeah. Yes. And the benefit of working in and I think this is true for any real estate agent, the benefit of coming from a corporate career is that you have the training on how to compose an email, how to do a follow-up email, how to send a calendar invite, how to close a deal and negotiate from like a technical perspective, right? And the reason I always tell real estate agents that is if you're working with someone that is in sales themselves or is an executive, the expectations that you are sending that follow-up email and the thank you note and the next steps and buttoning it all up you have to know how to do that. And so doing a crash course on something like that, that's the biggest benefit of coming out of the corporate world for sure. But I basically, I got, my husband and I got married, I got pregnant and realized that his career is real estate it was the most natural thing for me to do. I was doing it on the side too, without a license. Like all my baseball wife friends were relocating to Jupiter and mostly for spring training, but also for just in general living here. And I was like, I can help you. So I was air traffic controlling all these spring training rentals and, helping them find homes. And I was like, I should be licensed so I don't get sued for this.
Okay, so it was an organic evolution. It makes sense. For those that are listening that don't understand what she's talking about with spring training, there's only a few hubs in the United States. Where you are in Florida, St. Lucia and Jupiter is one of the major hubs where all the professional or a good amount of professional teams are there for 6-8 weeks in spring training, and all the players need housing because it's only temporary. So there was probably a flood of housing needs. You have a pipeline because your husband was playing and or coaching. He still is coaching, right? He's still involved with baseball?
Yeah, he's on the player development side. He's with the Giants, San Francisco Giants.
Oh, I don't like that. Come on, let's get him on the Dodgers. We need help. We just got eliminated last night. We need help.
I know, it's bad.
And I know Gabe Kapler as well, so that was a bummer.
Oh, really?
But it's a tough business, as your husband knows. Everyone goes. All right, so that's just a little background. So there's athletes coming there. You have the sales background, you have a corporate background, and you have a people background. So this is like the trifecta for you. You're starting in a market that's just starting to explode. Micro and macro, the real estate market was going, but Jupiter, sort of that whole area was really taking off, and you jumped in. And was it just all in day one and learn and absorb, and it started getting hectic? Talk to me about some of those challenges in those early days, that first year or two.
Yeah, it's oh my God. Jumping in headfirst into an area where my first couple deals were I'll say this, my first year of real estate, I did like 80 rentals, which is, if you work in real estate, that is
insane,
a number that is unfathomable. And at the time, it's the classic example of, at the time I didn't know any better, and I didn't know that that was a lot.
That's torture. Eight leases is killer. I don't want to do a lease. They're so problematic and difficult.
Dude, I have like PTSD.
Yeah, but you got in front of 80 transactions right away, 80 humans and all the people related. That's an unbelievable situation. So you dove in and took it. A lot of agents were like, no, I'm not making any money. I'm not spending my time. So that was your beginning.
That is it. Yep, that's it. It's the secret sauce. Like, you're in front of two people. You're in front of the landlord because their agent wants nothing to do with it, right? And you're in front of the tenant too. Rentals are the way of the world. But I started my team also kind of from day one. Like, I got a come list me call I started with Keller Williams, and I was in the bullpen, and we got like a come list me call to the office, which, by the way, never happens, especially not at KW. Right. And that's not a knock at KW. It just doesn't happen. And anyway, so I go on this listing appointment, and from my corporate background, I start selling the concept of we, and like this solution of all the things that we are going to do. And I leave these people's house. Yeah, exactly. So I leave these people's house, and I close them, obviously, because I'm the GOAT. And I leave, and I'm like, I have no I have no system. I don't even know, photos.
What do I do next?
1-800 listing photos? Like, what the hell do I do now? So I go back to the KW office with this signed listing agreement, which they signed, didn't even question it. This whole story is so funny when I unpack it, because it's like, ignorance is bliss. Like, it is bliss. I will never have the same energy going into that appointment. That I'll never be able to recreate that my entire life, because I now know everything that can go wrong. Anyway, so I go back to the office, and I have to find a we, because that's what I just sold. And there was this girl sitting there. Her name's Savannah Unruh. She was 19 years old. And I was like, would you like to form an alliance with me? And so she had
partnership made in heaven. I love it.
Yes. I had done all rentals. She had closed 2 deals. So together we had sold homes. And
82 homes.
I figured it out from there.
So you jumped in, you really figured it out. And there's a couple interesting points to tease out. Of course, the ignorance is bliss. You don't know what you don't know. And sometimes that gives you blind confidence. And that blind confidence gets you in the door and gets you the deal and gets you closed. And then you have to have the, oh shit moment. What do I do now? And you either collapse and put your head in the sand, or you figure it out quick and you keep taking steps forward. And that's what you did. So
I will say it's an important, and anytime I tell that story, I always point this out. It's an important disclosure. The first listing appointment that I went on was what it was. The subsequent 5, I royally fucked up. Like, this is not a business where you can fake it till you make it. You can wing it a little bit, but faking it until you make it and winging it are 2 different things. And preparation in this business, like when I look back on some of the meetings that I would go to, just completely unprepared because of the confidence I had on that first one, like don't do that. Don't
You
do that.
said, hey, I'm just bringing the Holly magic. I'm the GOAT. It's on. You're just going to list with
Right.
me.
Dude, the second one, I walked in, didn't even do a CMA. Yes. I remember sitting there and because the first one they knew what they wanted to list it for or whatever. And I'm sitting there in the subsequent ones. I didn't know how to do a CMA. I didn't know that was like, because you don't know what you don't know. No duh. Right. And I remember they were like, well, what do you think we should list the house for? And I had, like, when I say I had no idea, it was like the difference between like 500 and 700, which is about a quarter of the amount of, right? Oh my God.
40% or so.
Not a good look for, but you live and learn. And that's the takeaway, is that continue, like doing a postmortem. That's something from the corporate world too, doing a postmortem and sitting and writing down, here is how I fucked up. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 10, like, right. And what to do differently. And sometimes the mistake, it's powerful to unravel that the mistake was just being stupid, like, bottom line, but how to do different next time. And that's been my secret sauce forever.
Well, that's a good platform for improvement and excellence. Is you just keep learning, whether it's your first year in the business, 10th, 23rd. I mean, I feel like I'm always learning. There's always something new. There's always a wrinkle or a nuance, just like in sports. Growing up in sports, like they're always studying the tape. They're always studying the footwork. What did he plant? His body. There's so many wrinkles upon wrinkles and nuances and situations. So you got to have that mindset of growing and learning at all times. And in the beginning, you better be wide open to getting help if you need it, and learning, whatever you need to know. So talk me through now, today, 2023. We're now in October, fall. What does Holly's business look like now in terms of, you said you're a team. Obviously, you work with a lot of pro athletes in that area, plus your husband's a professional athlete and coach. So talk to me through just like the breakdown of what business looks like today. And then I want to go through, what does a typical day look like starting from the morning, when you get up. So first, what does your business look like in terms of team and types of deals and clients, whatever you can share?
I have 30 team members.
30.
Yeah. Our ratio, and I keep it at 30. I keep it at 30 specifically because that's my manageable threshold of agents and support staff. So we have a roughly a 1 to 6 agent to support staff ratio. I have a chief of staff who is like my right hand. She's my paid and hired muscle. If you're a ADHD entrepreneur like me, that'll make sense to you. Like, she's the bad guy to my like fun uncle-ness. And she's amazing. That is the secret sauce to team leadership, in my opinion. So the agents all report to and through her. And then I have a marketing director, and we leverage interns, agent associates. The team is, our dynamic is truly a team environment. And it's basically because that's all I've ever known. Like, I am one of 4 kids, and I've always been on a team. I've always been the captain of the team. And so having the ability to delegate and to empower and to hype others up and be the cheerleader, like, that's my job. I'm completely out of production at this point. I sell maybe 2 homes a year out of the 200 that we sell. And those are the ones that are like, well, I'm going to work with you because you're my like friend, and I am going to enjoy this. I feel like that should be edited out, because now I feel like all of my friends are going to be like, well, you made me work with one of your agents.
It's okay. It's okay. So let me just slow this down because this is important. So you have a chief of staff who's sort of like a CEO under you, that everything runs through her. She's a salaried person, or she's a commission, or both?
Salaried.
So you have a salary person. Then you have a 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 ratio. So that sounds like 5 or 6 support staff and 20 to 25 agents. Is that approximately right? The agents now, a support staff, are those all salary people, or is it a combo of salary? So you have a good amount of people on salary. That's your team that funnels to you. Everyone else that's an agent, I assume, is commission based, like most agents. Do these team members work in different areas, different price points, or is it just different niche networks? Like, how does that work?
So I have tried it all with that, and I'm always tooling around with the best way to do that. And I found that the best way for my agents to be structured is for them to sell what they know and to who they know. So any inbound lead, the vast majority of my business is office calls, and which this keeps doing this, literally, speak of the freaking devil. anytime I like reach up like that, does my audio cut out? That's so annoying. Sorry. So anyway, so the inbound leads come in, and then we determine what agent or agent pair is the best to work with that client. So if it's a referral inbound from California, for example, I have 3 agents on my team that are from like Huntington Beach specifically,
Yeah.
depending on the personality type. And I do also, one thing that's very unique to my team is the vast majority of our deals are done in pairs. So they're usually 2 agents that work with every single buyer, certainly every listing, but and I do that for single point of failure reasons, which is a kind of a healthcare thing.
So tell me, you say it sounds like you have a lot of incoming leads, maybe. So is the majority of their business generated incoming through you, or does everyone also have their own personal network and it's a balance?
Yeah, I foster. I do as much training and I pour into them to be able to build their own spheres and to generate business for themselves and give them the tools. But the vast majority of the agents that are with my team are ones that are either over that, like have done it and are over it. We have a lot of agents that have been on other teams and uh, don't want to be cold calling and doing bullshit. So if there's a come list me call, like there you go and do it. Um, they they do have spheres, but it's like your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So I'm the champion of the new kid and helping agents who just don't have the spheres that uh let me rephrase that. The vast majority of my business is inbound, and the agents that I have are the best equipped to handle that versus wanting to go and hunt.
Yeah, yeah. So you're trying to match up. You're a matchmaker within your team. Who's the
Yeah.
best fit for this specific lead? Are these incoming leads all people in your sphere, or if you break down like percentage of people that you've never met or don't know versus, oh, this is your personal network coming in? Is it 50-50? Is it 90 personal, 10? Is it?
It's a mix. It's a mix. So I have a lot of inbound like personal I call them personal sphere leads,
Yeah,
but it's mostly people that have some kind of experience with the team or me in some capacity. And then the other side of that is our website is really, really strong. I built it and manage it in house. And we crush SEO. Actually, in 2018, when the 2018 tax reform went through, I noticed a crazy uptick on our website from people from California. And so I doubled down on all things California to Florida superhighway, and we just raked all it seemed like if you couldn't be in California and search Palm Beach, Florida real estate and not hit our website. It was magic. And that's just from paying attention, paying attention to the news and paying attention to the analytics on the back end. Like everyone nowadays has access to analytics on your listings, on your Instagram. Just watch that and go to where the puck is. Like that's what I've always done. I always say this: I double down when it works and bail when it doesn't. And I get a lot of business from wealth advisors, financial advisors, sports agents, business managers in the sports and entertainment space.
yeah. So talk to me a little, let's dig a little deeper on the analytics and go where the puck is. I love that. There's so many of us, including myself, that don't take advantage of the SEO and just the general analytics information we get. So talk to me a little bit about, dig deeper, an example of like you just said there was a tax reform, people in California. So does that mean you started marketing, you started spending marketing dollars digitally, or what does that actually mean? What are some things you did?
So we started placing straight up Google ads, like Google AdWords, targeting people from specifically like if this, then that. So if they're in California searching for this, then and then retargeting those people. Facebook makes it so easy to place ads. But I will say that all of this is, when I say easy, all of this is very complicated. And you should, if you're not techie, I'm very, very techie. Like I have a commercial grade printer that costs like more than my life. And I can run that kind of thing. Do as I say, not as I do. Hire luxury presence to do this for you and ask for the analytics because they'll go over that stuff with you. It's more, the takeaway is not how to do it. It's that you should be doing it and paying attention.
Either learn it or delegate and outsource to someone who does it. And there are experts everywhere. I love it. So what are some of your biggest challenges now, having a big team?
I real estate's a weird bird, man. Being a team leader in real estate is so challenging because my first and foremost goal always is to empower my team and empower my agents to make the most money possible and to have work-life balance, which is what nobody gets into real estate out of college. And if you did, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I didn't. I was in the music business.
Yeah. Nobody goes to college and goes, I want to be a real estate agent. It's like the fallback plan, or like it's the thing that happens, right? And I love that, because making the transition from your personal brand, let's, say Danny, the music industry executive, going into real estate, like that's a tough transition to have to tell your friends and
Yeah.
your family, and right, it's weird. It feels weird. Your LinkedIn profile, it's kind of a conundrum. It's a whole thing. So one of the things that I take pride in is helping agents through that process, and then really building them up to being awesome. And we do mailers and social media. I mean, just we make our agents look incredible. And the byproduct of that is every once in a while there's shitheads that come into my ecosystem and they get a taste of what it's like to work with a celebrity. They get their wealth advisors' contact information, and then all of a sudden they're soliciting them directly. They're trying to do this shady shit. And I think the biggest challenge is, we have all the agreements in place. I have like my agent agreement is like 17 pages long, but there's still shitheads that, and I call them shitheads because that's what they are. When you enter my ecosystem, and when you enter into any relationship or agreement, setting the expectation from jump is super important, that if and when you leave, more like when you leave, because that's, the way of the world, there are expectations in place to not solicit the clients of the place you're leaving. Hello, duh, what the fuck is wrong with you people? And yeah, and it's like you sign off on that, and it's challenging for me to stomach it when it happens, because it's like, really, like, come on, man. I helped you explain to grandma why you're in real estate now after she paid for your $50,000 degree. Come on.
Yeah.
You're going to do this to me?
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, after all you've done and all you've put into them, time, energy, money, and then they're taking more. And that's a big thing with partnerships and teams, planning the exit, the divorce, the business divorce, so to speak, because that is the reality. Most people aren't going to be there 10, 20, 30 years. If they are, that's incredible. And those people, if they're good, should be rewarded. But I love that. So let's now talk about some personal stuff. Do you have a routine, a morning routine? And what does your mornings look like? Because you have a big life at business. You also have kids and husband and personal, and the balance. We all try to balance the best we can. But let's talk about, do you have a morning routine, whether it's fitness or whether it's meditation or anything, walking the dog?
So here's the disclosure. I'm 36, almost 37. I have 3 boys. They're 3, 8, and 10. My husband travels nonstop for work, so he's gone basically half the year. And my routine is everything. Everything. So I would say my routine is completely inflexible, while my kids' routine is completely flexible. So meaning, like, I have the guardrails up for myself, and then when it comes to my kids' stuff, I keep them as fluid as possible. So my routine is, I'm a morning person. I think if you're not, figure out how to be. I'm obsessed with the morning. Like, the morning should be your time to really cleanse yourself of all the shit that's been happening in your life, and kickstart the day how you want to. How you start your morning is everything. So I get up early, and my time with my kids is in the morning, and I'm pretty outspoken about this. We don't have family dinners in the traditional sense, and I don't prioritize family dinners. The kids eat what they eat. My nanny prepares what she prepares. But when you work in real estate, especially in a leadership position, but when you are a real estate agent, your job often begins at 5 o'clock. And if you're trying to hold on to, because people get off of work at that time and they want to do their personal life stuff, it is insane how many people try to make it in this industry, wanting to dial out at 5 o'clock. And especially at the beginning, like when they first get into real estate. When you first get into real estate, you have to make yourself available. I digress. So we prioritize family breakfast, and our mornings are amazing. I have like 2 hours with my kids in the morning. I get them up early too. And then it takes the pressure off of those late night, phone calls that we have to take, where I'm pacing in the driveway and my kids are sitting at the dinner table. It just takes the pressure off completely.
So how early is early? What does that look like? What's your normal?
So I get up my kids' school starts at 8. So I get up at 5, and then I have an hour. This is what it is. And then I have an hour between 5 and 6, and then I get my kids up at 6, and then we have that 2 hours to, we don't have my God, growing up, it always felt just like such a madhouse of getting out of the house and getting everyone it just Like, we don't do that. And I'm a stickler for that. Like, I will not live in a household where the morning is disarray. You know what I'm talking about? Like the minivan and the
That's my house. That's my house. I have 3 kids, and it's that. It's chaos getting them out of bed, getting them to eat, brush their teeth, getting them dressed. Did you remember your cleats? Did you remember your bat? Did you remember this? Your book? Yeah, that's my house. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. So I'm super outspoken about it, particularly because it manifests that I don't participate in that.
The chaos.
Polio thing. Like, I don't participate in morning chaos. And so the more I say it, the more like my kids believe it and I believe it.
I'm going to say I don't participate in morning chaos. Yes, let's go. Let's do it. So are you doing any personal reading, journaling, meditation in that hour, working at, like, what happens in that magic hour of your time?
Yeah. So in the morning, I do whatever I want to do. And the reason I'm saying it like that is because I take the pressure off of there's like this school of thought that like meditating and reading and setting intentions, whatever needs to be done. If there's an email that's like that I need to get done, I get it done then. If I need to do something for social media, whatever, I get it done. Like, that hour is quiet time. And if that means I have the opportunity to read, cool. I don't drive anywhere without listening to something either. Like, I am mainlining podcasts and audiobooks, and I take the long way to work for that reason. So I get at least 20 minutes of audiobook time or podcast time in my car as part of the commute. And so I do mainline stuff like that, but it's just not in that first hour.
Understood. I love that. So it's your hour to take care of whatever you find to be priority. I love that. And managing the work-life family balance. So once you get to work, it sounds like your focus on work and family stuff gets handled after.
Yeah. I spend a lot of money on outsourcing stuff for my family. So I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do laundry. I'm very outspoken about that too, because I am a solo threaded mom. And I think disclosing that is super important. Like, you can't be as productive as I am if you have to do that stuff too. And it's expensive and it's annoying to have to pay for all of that stuff, but my household wouldn't function otherwise. So I am not on top of everything doing all of those things. I have a nanny who's amazing. I leverage au pairs. We don't have an au pair right now, but I usually have an au pair, which is a game changer. And then when I get to the office, I usually get here around 8. And that first hour, one thing that's really important to me is I also have that first hour between 8 and 9 before my team all gets here to really get shit done by myself. I have ADHD to the nth degree. And so scheduling time for me to really be alone is like very important.
It's interesting. So those strategic hours in the morning, one on your own and then one before people come in, it seems to really set up your day. So I love hearing that. Well, talking about listening to podcasts, what are some of your favorite things that you listen to in terms of podcasts? The Deal with Danny Brown. I hope you're tuning in. But what are some other podcasts other than my worldwide incredible podcast?
I did love your episode. I love that. He is my favorite human. I love him so much. He's the best. Oh, he's the best. Yeah.
He is incredible. The Doogie Howser of real estate. I love him. I was just texting with him this morning. Yeah. He is incredible.
Did you make that up? Have you heard that?
No. He told me about it, and I've been calling him that. He said, yeah, somebody, I don't think, I didn't make that up. I feel like he was known as that because he was like 16 selling big house. Anyway, wonderful guy. Hi, Jonathan. Shout out. So what are some of the, let's go podcast, books, things that you feel would be good for other people to listen to?
So it is October 2023 right now. I am mainlining some Ed Milet stuff. His stuff recently has been amazing. I love him. I recently finished, I'm an Adam Grant disciple. The book Give, Take changed my life.
Adam Grant?
An Enneagram 7 ADHD entrepreneur type that gives people the shirt off your back. Reading that book will change that. Rocket Fuel is amazing if you have a partnership type structure business. So with Hallie, my chief of staff, and we have this yin yang relationship. It's called, the book Rocket Fuel crushes how to do that well. So anytime Adam Grant is speaking, I'm listening. Simon Sinek, I love his stuff. There's a book right now though, hold on, that I'm reading and the name is escaping me. It's Dr. Benjamin Hardy. 10x is better than 2x. Have you heard of that?
I have not. 10x is better than.
Oh my God. So to be on my team, it's a requirement that you have to read Never Split the Difference. And I think I'm going to make it a requirement that you have to read this book too. I'm in the middle of it right now, and it is phenomenal. So his podcast episode with Ed Milet, I listened to it 3 times through. I listened to it again this morning. It is like, you have to listen to it. And I almost don't want to even ruin it by telling you about it, because it's like,
I'm gonna go listen to it. It's on Ed's podcast.
Yeah. So then he wrote a book called 10x is better than 2x, but his the hour version of that is the episode with Ed.
All right, so let's now switch to more fun personal stuff. What are some of your favorite movies, TV shows, groups, bands, songs?
That's the worst. That's the worst question ever.
What are you listening to when you're listening and you're looking to get hype?
I listen to
whatever, chill, or it doesn't have to be hype.
Podcasts. I really, okay, so literally, like, I love it. Like, I live for it. I literally will listen to anything that is educational. I have like the curiosity of
That's awesome.
Anything that is, I'm so nerdy, and that's why I love Jonathan. He's the same way. He's mega dork.
Well, look, that's what a lot of successful people have, a desire to learn and grow and be curious. So that's fantastic. Well, you gave us some good leads on that. Tell me a little bit about travel with kids and this and that. Where are some of the places you guys like to go?
Yeah, we prioritize
a travel area, a tourist.
We prioritize traveling. It's really, really important to me that my kids are well-rounded and know how to navigate, a major city. I think one of the things that has really been an underrated dynamic of my being is being able to navigate, in my head, Paris, for example, or so when you're in a customer service setting, building rapport is so much easier because I've been really everywhere, and I've been everywhere several times, and it's because I grew up in Europe. But prioritizing that with my kids has been really challenging because they're young and annoying, but also it's a priority. We go to the same place in Italy every year, and forcing them to engage in their broken English, Italian is a priority too. Just creating controlled environments of adversity, because we live in a bubble here, and I pay a lot of money to live in a bubble, but then we kind of force adversity on them elsewhere.
See, it's more also the theme of growing and educating your children. It's just so interesting. That thread runs through your entire story, your entire life. And that gets me back to the beginning. We were discussing how you have to adapt when you move around and you're able to meet different people and connect on so many different levels. It's like a magic tool to have. And it certainly seems that that's come in handy for you, because I imagine day to day, hour to hour, you have to pivot with the type of person you're dealing with, whether it's a hedge fund CEO, or then it's a 21-year-old bonus baby athlete, or it's a retiree couple. I mean, you got to be able to be quick on your feet and connect with all these people. So talk to me a little bit about how that has helped you in your career. I mean, it's obvious, but I'd love to hear your take on it.
Well, so in real estate, it's something that God, if there's one thing I recommend doing, especially when you're starting out in real estate, if you aren't well traveled, just in the United States, go to big cities, all the big cities, like New York, Denver, Austin, Nashville, and just get a feel for how those cities are even laid out. Because when you have an inbound relocation, being able to find the same, I know if you said you grew up next to UCLA, right? I know exactly what big lot means to you, right? Yard size, because I've been there, and I know that that's not the same as a yard size in Seattle, Washington, which is acres and acres, right? So just knowing it helps. I can't even quantify how much it helps knowing when people say and of course, in real estate, you always want to double down when someone says, I want a large master bedroom. It's well, or owner suite. Well, what do you mean by large, right? But someone from New York City saying that and someone from Austin, Texas, we're having two different conversations.
Correct. Correct. So it seems like it's been huge. Anything else? Any other words of wisdom you would give to agents that are either starting out or people that are trying to grow their business and dealing with the challenges? You've broken down so many different things as we went, but if there's anything else that you want to leave us with, the mic is yours, the floor is yours.
Thanks. I have 100 questions to ask you. I need to have you on my non-existent podcast. I will say, if you ever have the opportunity to work with a professional athlete, make sure you're getting to their wealth advisor or their agent or their business manager with bells on. They make the decisions. And if you are in the middle of a real estate transaction and they don't know about it, you're going to get your ass handed to you. Don't cut them out. Keep them copied. Keep them CC'd on those emails. That is like
100%.
the most petty, small, stupid thing that will cost you a relationship.
100%. And I would say double down, triple down on that with athletes, celebrities, high profile people. They all come with those advisors and they are the decision makers. And even if the client said, yeah, it's all good, you do need to loop those people in. Otherwise, you are risking
Don't sleep on the agent. Yeah, exactly.
and wasting a lot of time. I know I've dealt with that as well. Good lessons. Well, I loved having you. You've shared so much stuff with us. I love it. I look forward to I think I'm going in December to visit some friends. So I'll try to come visit you up there. I'd love to see Jupiter and check out what's going on above Palm Beach for sure.
We should shoot some content. We should shoot some content.
We
Hey,
will.
Jonathan, he came and we did like a little tour to Jupe, a mini one. Then we recorded everything and just had some like walk and talk conversations. I think there's a ton of synergy in a weird way between your market and what you guys deal with and ours here. That'd be
100%.
cool. Like our
100%. Well, thank you for sharing time with us. You were awesome. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. You were great.